Hello everyone, welcome to episode 19 of How to Play Like a WoW Pro. Today we're going to take a look at a replay in the CS63 on Murovanka from the North spawn. And the theme of today's episode is what to do when you are having a bad game. Basically how to salvage a bad game when you've lost all your hit points and you don't see any opportunities to do damage for free. What should you do in that situation? So I spawn in the north. I choose my turbo loadout mostly just for the reverse speed. My forward speed isn't really that important right now because I'll get to my desired position in time regardless of whether I bring turbo or not. I probably could have picked my other loadout with vents instead of turbo just for the extra DPM. But in general in the CS63 your reverse speed is very bad, so you almost always want to pick your turbo loadout. In my medium tanks from the north spawn, and in my light tanks as well, I like to take this position here, but in medium tanks, I only like to take this position if no one else is going here to spot for me. If there is somebody going to this position to spot for me, then I like to go right here at the edge of the bushes right here and just play there and shoot the cross in the beginning of the game. But since we have no light tank who's going to this position, I decide to go here myself to get some free damage. Now here I wasn't expecting to get spotted and I get greedy and I poke again. I definitely shouldn't have. If I remember correctly, I was a little bit tilted at this point in this session. And right now I think I'm unspotted, so I'm not bothering to move really. I just assume that I'm unlit. But right here I get lit through the gap in the building here by this E4. I don't really know how that happened. I guess he just barely could see around this corner and then he saw through this window. But I take a shot from the CS because I'm way too high up on the ridge, and then I get shot again from this position here as I try to escape. And that's something you need to watch out for when playing this position is if you're trying to leave this spot, then you can get shot from this ridge right here through this gap right here. They can also shoot you even over here. But if you just hug right here, then you'll be fine. You won't be already safe, but you'll be fine from every other angle. Another thing to watch out for is if an enemy goes to this bush right here on the edge of this ridge, they can also get side shots on you. But I'm already down 800 HP, and as you'll see, I'll drop even further, I think, later on. But after I get initial shots in this position here, I oftentimes like to make my way to this corner right here. And I like to play against the people who play on this corner, and I like to do that by knocking over these trees and poking up, getting a quick shot, and then immediately reversing. But the problem with doing that in this situation is they have an E4 on this corner here, so if I get spotted up here, even if I reverse right away, there's a good chance I'll get shot. So me going for this play right now, I realize it's a bad idea, so I decide not to do it. So instead I just poke the corner like normal. And if you are going to go for this high poke here, you have to assume that you're going to get spotted. You can't just assume that the trees are going to block the enemy's vision, because very often times you'll just get spotted right through the trees regardless. So now Artie just fired, so that gives me a little bit of time to work, but I can't really poke on this corner when the Kron is sitting there. And really, taking these trades at all is pretty risky, and it's debatable whether I should even be trying to go for these trades. I might be better off just waiting, because Artie can shoot me, these guys can shoot me back potentially. So it's just kind of risky, and so I decide to stop poking there because I don't think it's going to be worth it. And you'll see in a second that I decide to leave. I just don't want to take the trades anymore, especially now that I don't have a teammate poking the corner. But out of the corner of my eye, I see that this I-7 is coming along like this. And I'm saying, I literally said out loud, this I-7 better not YOLO around here. And I'm just going off the assumption that he's not going to, because I have a ton of teammates behind me, as is the case pretty much in every single battle on this map. There's almost always a bunch of tanks around here. So if he were to push around like this, it would be very stupid of him, and he would probably die for it. So I'm just thinking, if he does push around, then he dies. And so I'll just take the damage and I'll go next. He'll die for it, and I'll take one shot of damage or something. So he does exactly that. He pokes around the corner and he dies. But now I'm down to 500 HP. And this game is not even close to being over yet. Now here I'm kind of just chilling, waiting for shots, hoping that something will get spotted somewhere, but I realize that there's probably not going to be any opportunity for damage because all of these guys are on the 0 line right now. The only place I could go to shoot them, besides just driving up in to fight them, would be to go back where this crown is. You can get shots from back here on these guys, but since they're all hull down basically, I don't think it's going to be worth it to go over there. So I think about going back here because I really am just itching to get in the fight and do something, because currently I'm doing absolutely nothing. But I just know that it's going to be a bad idea to do it. So instead I decide to rotate out altogether. And unfortunately I get spotted leaving. I'm not actually sure who spotted me. But luckily I don't think I get shot. Yeah, I don't. And now what I'm going to try to do is play this position here. I see that our M5Y has died here, and I see that their ship barn has a kill, so I'm pretty sure he's the one who killed this guy. So I'm playing very cautiously, trying not to get lit in these bushes here or up here, because I know that their ship barn is probably sitting back here and he's going to shoot me. But what I do notice is that I have a shot on the side of this chieftain. This is an angle you can get if anyone plays on the south side of this hill right here, which you should never do from the south, by the way, almost never. This angle exists, but unfortunately he backs off. And right now I'm just cautiously trying to poke and get lights. I'm paying attention to what's not lit still. They have a CS unlit, and then a bunch of TDs, like 3 TDs. And then I see that the 430U is in the middle, so I'm keeping an eye out for him as well. Things you need to watch out for from this location. You need to watch out for this corner right here on the edge of this house. The edge of this house, there's a bush, and enemy tanks can poke into this bush and then spot you and then shoot you for free, basically. But luckily, there's a grill who gets spotted completely out in the open, so I'm gonna go hold down on him and start shooting him. I'm aware of the fact that the arty is probably gonna shoot at me, but I'm risking it anyways. Now I'm trying to bait out his shot. I don't want to risk poking into him because he'll just kill me if I expose my turret. So I wait for him to fire, and now I should be able to finish him off basically. Go for a tracking shot there. And when you're really low HP like this, and the game is still not close to being over, what I would really just recommend doing is playing extremely patient. Even if you get no damage for like 6 minutes straight, let's say, at the very end of the battle, when the enemies are pushing in, or when your team is pushing in, there's almost always an opportunity to get out like 2,000 extra damage. Something like that. 1,500, 2,000. So if you just be very patient, you're still very likely to have at least an acceptable game. And so that's what I'm playing for here. I'm not going for 6,000 damage or something. I'm just playing very cautiously and hoping that enemies make mistakes. And right now I'm going for blind shots on their FE because I'm pretty sure he's there. This gets expensive, but then their 430U goes out in the open. I go for a slightly risky poke there, and I get all the spotting on him plus one shot, which is very nice. And now I'm just trying to move for the arty, but I see on the minimap that he fired, so I'm safe now. And I'm just trying to spot this CS right now. I see that we have two TDs right here. I'm expecting him to be somewhere here if he is still here. So I'm trying to just barely spot him without exposing so far that the 4K5 will be able to shoot me in return. But I don't see him. And there I decide to shoot down the house so that my teammates have a better shot. But I notice that when I fire, I get spotted. So that confirms to me that there's a 4K5 here, almost definitely. Or at least the CS is there. Because this is on the edge of my view range circle. And I wasn't getting spotted from back here earlier when I wasn't shooting, but when I do shoot, I do get lit. That tells me that he's probably on the edge of my view range circle. And there he was. I spot him. Now I'm looking for a shot on the CS, and I got it. Now that their CS is dead and it's just TDs remaining, besides these two heavies who are stuck on this flank over here, I know that I can get a little bit more aggressive now because we're winning this battle. And so, what I'm gonna do is first commit up here and just see if I get lit. Now, pay attention to how I'm gonna be aiming. So, their other 4K5 hasn't been lit the whole battle, and I'm expecting him to play right here. So when I go around this corner, I'm just pre-aimed on it, and as you can see, he was there. So it was probably risky to go around this corner like this, but I thought I should risk it. Alternatively, I could have gone over like this in speed mode instead of non-speed mode, and that might have been better. But in endgame situations, when there's no one who can push you, none of these tanks can push me. At least where they're spotted currently, there's no one here to overpoke and shoot me here or shoot me here. Then you can play in these kind of areas, and you can use some bushes to poke up and spot enemy tanks, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. So here I'm trying to run the ridge, trying to spot this 4K5, because I don't want to commit into this little pocket here until I know that he's not playing in one of these bushes. And fortunately he does get lit, so I know he's not there. But from this position here, not only can you shoot where this E4 is playing in the back, but you can poke up into this bush here, and you can get side shots on tanks in the bushes, and oftentimes you'll spot them. So in endgames on Murovanka North spawn, when your team has cleared the forest, I almost never push K-line. I almost always push across the middle and try to get to this position where I'm at right now, because this position is very strong. Here I wait to get loaded and then I poke. I don't manage to spot him, so I'm thinking he's in one of the bushes. I'm thinking about blinding here, but I decide not to, and I get unlucky and miss as I spot him. Somehow I don't get lit though. Now that the game is over, I'm expecting their 4K5 to be aiming this way, like out towards here. So I decide to do a little flank. I decide to push in from this direction here and try to just get around him. I load the HE. And as you can see, he's actually aiming at me, which is very surprising to me. I really didn't expect him to be looking this way. But anyway, we turned a pretty terrible early game situation into a 6k damage, 2.4k spotting victory, so that's how you do it. You have to play passive and just wait for your opportunity to arise. And sometimes that opportunity will basically never arise, but in almost all cases it will eventually if you just wait long enough. So anyways, I hope you learned something about how to play Muro from north spawn, especially in medium tanks, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.